AI is the biggest shift of our lifetime, and right now, real founders are having their aha moment and turning it into systems that print money. This is 120 Octane. Every week, we sit down with the operators on the front lines, the ones who took the lead, built the system, made it work, and they're sharing the lessons, the playbooks, and the tips that got them there. With your hosts, Avi Slavin and Alexandra Jacobo, your next aha moment starts now.
Welcome to 120 Octane, the podcast where founders, operators, and builders show us the AI systems they actually built. I'm Avi Slavin, and with me always is my co-host, Alexandra Jacobo.
Hey everyone, really looking forward to today.
Awesome. Our guest today is a builder in every sense. He's also a friend. He's a self-made pioneer in the LED lighting industry. His company work is in the New York Stock Exchange, in One World Observatory, at One World Trade, in offices for Microsoft, Coach, and Delta. But here's what makes him a perfect 120 Octane guest. His entire philosophy, that too, his entire philosophy is about ruthlessly cutting waste and automating everything that can be automated. And recently, he turned that lens on his own operation and built an AI system that literally replaced a whole stack of software. His name is Kevin Krohner, founder and CEO of EOS Light. Kevin, welcome to 120 Octane.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
We've been looking forward to today's episode. I think a lot of operators listening are drowning in software subscriptions right now, and you went the other direction, so we can't wait to get into it.
Amazing. Well, I'm looking forward to explaining what I did.
Absolutely. So, Kevin, let's start with you, right? You built EOS into a company whose work is some of the most iconic buildings in New York. Give us kind of the short version of that story, and then tell us where this obsession with efficiency and automation comes from.
Sure. So EOS is a business that I got into started in 2008 when sustainability was making a big shift on many different layers of our environment everywhere. And I saw an opportunity with LED lighting that was changing everything to be able to start working with companies and at the time individuals as well to get them to start changing lighting systems over to LED lighting. EOS was born after the big migration occurred. EOS changed into more of a design-focused, design-oriented company because at the time, it was a critical mass occurred. The larger companies were really bringing in a lot of inventory, and the work I was doing was highly custom. So I moved into this, custom design space where we had really good bandwidth with companies like Delta Airlines. And then we just keep getting brought into more projects. It just gets started with one. The architects and designers bring you into their other large scale projects. So we got into the space of custom. Everything we produce is custom. We're doing a lot of light panels, which again, there's no standard product. Everything is custom cut, which meant that there was a lot of, I had to figure out how to commoditize a customizable product, right? To be able to show, okay, this particular product is going to be built a size, let's say 74 inches by, let's say 69 inches. And I'm going to have one or two of those, but I have to keep repeating this process over again without going crazy and getting buried in the numbers. So what I ended up doing was first we worked with a ton of spreadsheets. This was back 2010, 2011, 2014. When then I got into really trying to figure out a way, it was driving me crazy. We were small, we weren't doing a lot of revenue. So I was able to manage each project individually. But as we started to grow, it started to put a lot of pressure on me to be able to scale. So I went ahead, I picked out a CRM, I got into Zoho CRM, and I drank the Kool-Aid with Zoho, and Zoho's been great ever since. And then during that time, I had to figure out a way how to standardize the processes, and what I did was I reached out to a software developer that I was introduced to, and he helped me build out an interface for my company that allows us to actually create a standard automated order building system where it's a UX which just tells you, okay, what's your length, what's your width, pick your product. And that whole UX, what it does is actually builds a product in their system. And then it takes that product, it converts it over to the factory request, which, in the US, everything is inches, an imperial system. And then in China and overseas, even in Korea, wherever you're manufacturing, it's all going to be in millimeter metric. So we had to take every single size, we got to convert it over without having any errors in the conversion, right? We had a lot of different details, like what color, temperature, and light, where are the LEDs going to go, what type of LEDs were we going to use. It took this whole process that literally would take people about an hour to put together if they had to do it manually. And this whole UX changed it into literally, I want to say, a 30-second process where you just go in, you select the product that you want, as long as you build it out, it's a database, so as long as you build it out on the back end, then you go into the UX, you pick out your product, you type in your size, it does all the calculations, it creates a whole bill of materials. It also creates customer drawings. In my business, everything has to be focused on drawings. So it creates customer drawings, it creates factory drawings, it creates factory production requests, does the math to figure out what the shipping is going to be, and actually creates a shipping request as well. And by me doing this, it allowed my company to be able to run lean, especially during times of a lot of like uncertainty in the economy and uncertainty in the world. We had, I got started in 2008. We had the crisis in 2008. We had, we had a lot of, issues coming up like in, 2015, 2016, when Trump was elected, with the tariffs to China. This whole process of automation in the system, I just kept refining it. I was able to actually, at the time, I had 4 people doing AutoCAD drawings. This process, I eliminated down to 1. Because those 4 other people, they had to do AutoCAD drawings where they're doing this drawing, they have to put into a title block all this information. But now it's all automated, and the database just puts it in there. So what we used to take the time, like it takes someone to do like a drawing, a basic drawing, 30 minutes to an hour. Now it's done in less than 30 seconds. And I don't have to worry about, having 4 people on AutoCAD. Why would we get really busy and, stressing out over it? And so since then, a lot of other things happened. I had, ups and downs in the business. I had staff that wanted to, make some interesting demands on me, or they were going to leave, and I showed them the door. He said, go, you're more than welcome to leave. Thank you very much for your time. And I replaced some, a lot of them with the software, and I would change my model over to be able to work with, my business model changed to work with like multi-line sales representatives all over the country, which then this whole process allowed me to eventually, when we got hit with the tariffs and, like sales really took a hit, COVID was one thing, sales were another, or tariffs were another. I was able to start really focusing on remote workers, and I started bringing in people from the Philippines and training them on the system, teaching them on the systems. And then now all of a sudden, now I've got a company of about maybe 7 workers. And those 7 workers, 2 of them are in Mexico, 4 of them are in the Philippines, 1 lady's in Serbia. And everyone's great. Everyone gets along famously, and they all learn the systems. And whenever we have problems that come up, I just do what I can to say, how can we learn from it? Right? Well, how can we fix it? Like, let's deal with the problem, the ugliest, and the problem right now, and eat shit right now. But I don't want to eat shit with the same problem again, right? So I want to learn, how can we fix this so that way we don't deal with it moving forward? So we do that with our software systems, right? And then we do that with, and then I started bringing in AI agents in the last, I would say, I started messing with AI probably about 2 years ago. I started, Avi, you and I, we were talking again then about Charm, and there were other things that we were working on. And then I got into, I started exploring chat, I started exploring all these different models. Then I got into Claude, and then OpenClaw occurred. And OpenClaw just changed everything for me because it just made it so much easier. And so what I did when I first started with one AI agent, and this is back in February.
But just hold on one second, Kevin. Yeah. Just for the viewer's sake, I mean, it's your transition to AI is amazing. But was there a specific moment where you said, you know what, enough with all this stuff. I'm going to consolidate all this. I am so bullish on AI that this is the path that we're going to take it. What prompted you? What was in your mindset for you to be able to make this decision?
Well, I think, I am impulsive. Know me for a little bit,
Sure.
I can be impulsive. I'll get an idea and I'll really like get OCD on it and I'll start researching the shit out of it. And so what I did was it's like, this is interesting stuff. Like, let me see what I can do. Like, I was like all over TikTok and YouTube, watch all these videos. I'm like, okay, let me see what this thing can do. So I went out and I bought one Mac Mini. And I bought the cheap one, right? The $600 one that's now $800, right? And I bought that one and I set it up, and it took me hours to set it up. Okay, that was not so easy as all these YouTubers and TikTokers were showing. Like, because literally, like, I would do something and it wouldn't operate, and then I had to literally go between. I had my Mac Mini connected to my TV, and then I had my laptop in my lap, and I was trying to figure out, okay, if I talk to Claude and I take pictures of my screen, and Claude's going to figure out what I'm doing wrong. It took me like 5 hours to set up the OpenClaw. And when I said it, and I gave her a name, Valentina, because Valentina was born on Valentine's Day. And I got Valentina set up. And then all of a sudden, I was like, all right, like, what can you do? Like, let's try to mess around here. And then during this time, I just start like, first with inquiries, then with research, then with, let's see, like, what happens if I connect you to my CRM? What can you do with my CRM? For example, I have a large project for an NFL stadium right now that we are delivering right now. And this project's got about 150 line items. And my customer changed their mind on one specific detail, the color temperature, right? Or they went from a 4,000 Kelvin to a 3,000 Kelvin. And on every single bit of paperwork that has to be corrected. So I have 150 line items, which means that I would have to go into my software package, my proprietary software, my UX, and then go into each line item and click a box, unclick it. It would take about 4 hours, and most likely during that time, all right, it would drive someone so crazy they will make a mistake. Okay, like something will happen. So I said, Valentina, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to go into this estimate number, and I want you to change the color temperature on everything from 4,000 to 3,000. 30 seconds, done. The whole thing was done. The whole thing was finished. And my main admin in my company, she's like my office manager. She watches the car and her mouth dropped. And all of a sudden, like, they all started getting worried about this once they saw that happen, right? So
of course they did.
So what I did was I was going over to China anyway to go see my guys. So I booked a trip to the Philippines. I took them all over there. I took them all out. We got a boat. We went island hopping, and I'm like, listen, I need you guys to understand something. I am not using AI to replace you, okay? What I am doing is I'm using it to streamline our systems, make us more efficient, and make it so when times get tough, when we don't have all the business coming in, then we are able to lean on a system that's going to help us, keep floating. And when we're growing, the system's going to help us grow. And then from that moment on, like, I started creating all these different tools. So one thing we did was, I used to use this company called Trainual, who would do all of our SOPs. I'm a big believer in documenting SOPs. And so this company, Trainual, I paid as a consultant out of Utah, probably about $15,000 to $20,000 in a period of a couple of years to take notes and put together a whole SOP manual for us, right? And it all lived in, at first in Dropbox, then Google Drive, and then they're like, we want to migrate you over to Trainual. And Trainual was a software, charged $100 a month. And it's a nice piece of software, and nothing wrong with it. $100 a month is pretty reasonable. The issue was that the ladies who did the work on this, well, they got worked by my staff. You see, the staff didn't want to tell them all the things that they do. They want to keep, some divide there to be able to allow them to have some proprietary information for themselves. So that way, if for some reason they are going to lose their job, they got some leverage on me, or they have, their ability to, sabotage me. So the staff at the time, they were not 100% forthcoming. That's one reason. Another reason, a more optimistic way of looking at it, is they also don't think about communicating. They just do the work. They don't think about how to communicate that. So what I did was, number one, I had every single employee through Loom videos of everything that they did. All right. And then I did was I use a software called Scribe, which is pretty good. And Scribe, it's, it records what you're doing off screen, and it gives you SOPs. It's pretty, it's good. And so I used that for probably about 2 months. Right. I had everybody do Scribe videos. Right. Then I took all this data and I put it into a Google Drive, and I said, here's the training we'll make, and here's the old SOPs. Here's all this shit. Make something out of it. Right. And it literally, she put together a whole place, we call it Phoenix, right? Which has, I'll show you.
Just for the viewers, like while you're doing this, you want to explain what does it mean to create an agent, just in its raw format. You built this agent, you used a Mac Mini, but how do you communicate with this agent? What's going on the back end at a high level? What type of models are you using? I think the audience would really appreciate to understand some of those mechanics.
So, well, first of all, setting up OpenCloud is a challenge if you haven't done it before. Once you've done it before, that's a big deal. The models I typically use, I go Cloud Opus. I go Cloud Opus. Anything that's going to be high-level reasoning, it's Cloud Opus. So I tried Sonnet. I tried OpenAI. It just does not perform very well. I mean, I tried even OpenAI Chat. Then I started looking at like ChatGPT like 5.5 a little while ago.
And how do you communicate with your agent? Is this a typical system like you would use on ChatGPT, using the desktop interface, using an app? How do you talk to Valentina?
Well, I try to go through iMessage as much as possible.
Okay. So all you do is just like you would send a normal iMessage text to somebody else.
Correct. But iMessages I've been learning, are not so easy, because what happens is that it's like one chat going on, and they have multiple, and then if it starts getting overloaded, you have to switch to a chat. And you have to switch chats. So a lot of times what happens, like it'll stop responding, and then it'll say like, so then I have to go into here. So like right now, like I'm having her make me an interface that I can go on my phone, like an app that I can literally talk to her using the control. It's so much easier to do it that way. All right, so here is, right, so this is the portal that she built, right? So I was able to get rid of Trainual, right? And these are all my SOPs, and some of this proprietary, so I'm not going to go into everything, right? But it talks about like these are email templates that go out, and the whole idea is that people will be able to copy them. Like we get inbound requests for sales reps. Like a lot of this stuff is pretty basic. It's never perfect. She changes stuff all the time. So you always have to like kind of like watch it and go after it. But managing the hot list here. One thing I really like is this. So this is something that we built, and these are all budgetary pricing. These are for my sales team. So whenever a lot of time what happens, someone says, hey, like I need budgetary pricing. And what will happen is that my assistant has to go ahead and go find it. I'm gonna stop that one.
I think we're still on the first tab that you had.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is like teams, right? So yeah, so this is.
Oh, okay. Beautiful.
So she built this website for me. Built it in like 30 seconds. And so what I did was I went to my designer and I said, I need you to like put this together for me in a format that looks slick. So she made her these, and then I gave them all my budgetary sheets. I have 2 other agents. So I had another one go through and double check all the math, right? And so we got something designed, we got checked, and then we got ahead and we got put up here on the site. And then this allows my assistant, right, who'd, a lot of times will say, hey, like I need a budgetary pricing for outdoor cloud. And then she got to go into a Dropbox folder and go find the document and then email it over to them. Well, here, she just gives them a password and a website. And literally, that's it. That made this a lot easier. I'm going to come back here to this one here. So, right, this is like my quoting. these are my access for my software. And again, a lot of today's, so here's a nice video. Here's a nice video walkthrough going on. So all the stuff is there. So that way, I'm just gonna stop there. But basically, the whole idea is that a lot of it is proprietary, and I don't want to put it out online for anybody to see. Right. But the whole idea is that like I've got a lot of information in here that they are able to go ahead and see. Okay, great, and they're able to go ahead and see, like staff-wise, like that's the whole idea. Because a lot of times, so many things change. So before, whenever the problem changed, I had the ladies doing SOPs. What happens that we would have to like program, we had to like schedule all the time, like go through all the changes, right? Have to have like a call once a month. Now it's just like a change occurs and we send a note to Valentina and say, Valentina, update the SOPs to this. And it's done. It's instant. It's right away. If we ever need to, send a video, we just do it with Loom. I got done with Scribe. I'll use a Scribe for what I need it for and we'll send it away. Trainual gone. No more Trainual. This right here, no more $100 a month Trainual. None of that nonsense. So this is all done. And then the other thing I've done now recently is I got back a Mac Mini from my friend that I set it up for him, but he never used it. So what I did was we made that into an Olama model. Well, I'm sorry. I have a social media agent named Sage, and Sage creates content. And then what she does is she was on a M4 Pro. And it was a little bit overkill for her, so I moved her over to like the cheapo, the 16 gigabyte, 512 or 256, and moved her over to that. And then the agents do it. So what I've learned is that when you have multiple agents, when one starts, going wrong, you go to the other agent and say, "Hey, something's going on with Valentina, fix her," and they'll go right in and they'll be like, "Oh, this is what the problem is," and they fix it immediately, right? So
how many agents do you have? To be clear,
3.
3 agents.
3. And then what we did, we took the 4th Mac and I moved her over. I moved Sage over to the smaller one. And then what I did was I took the my M4 Pro and then we put Olama on it. And so Olama, now we're going to use that for some basic stuff. And then I have a lot of stuff that's going on. I get daily updates every morning of what my financial position is for the company, where my bank accounts are, where my QuickBooks, my Zoho, how many orders we got this week, how many orders we got this month, how many orders we got this year, any emails that need to be hit, peptides on this.
Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about that in a second. Yeah.
And so, and the big thing is that like the different models, Claude is definitely the best. OpenAI, I'm assuming, is going to like at some point really get it together and take a model and really cater it towards OpenClaw since they picked up Peter Steinbrenner. I know that he's already like doing a lot of public stuff about OpenClaw, and it's amazing because in China everyone knows OpenClaw. Everyone knows it. Tencent picked it up. Baidu picked it up. They put it. They created I think the lobster they call it on Alibaba, it's like it's all over the place. So the only thing I've found with OpenClaw is number one is that when updates occur, it fucks it up. It totally like when updates occur, like it gets a little silly, and then it just like memory starts getting hit, things start getting hit, problems start occurring. It takes like you have to like kind of like put together like a whole process to like get everything like saved before you do an update, and then if you do an update, you got like it's like the movie 50 First Dates. You ever see the movie 50 First Dates with Adam Sandler, right? Where and Debbie and what's her name? Drew Barrymore. Drew Barrymore. And so we were. There's a movie. What happens that she got like a brain problem. She can't remember. She got no long-term memory, right? So every morning they start her off with like, "Hey, here's a video. Watch the video," right? And you gotta do the same thing with this. And then I've been playing around with other tools like Obsidian, trying to see can we like pack memory into Obsidian and use Obsidian as a reference tool, because memory seems to be the biggest issue that I'm dealing with right now. And the other thing is that they come across like so personal. I will talk to you like a person, right? And it's scary how it can really, she really can come across like a person. Like it's crazy, okay? It's absolutely crazy how real she can seem. And so what I like to do is I have to remember that when I'm like getting frustrated and I'm like, wait a second,
You're not-
is it like
Right.
someone that can talk to and reason? Like this is an agent that's going to try to like, say, hey, this is why I did something, and but it's a lot of fun. So yeah, to communicate, I use iMessage until it starts crapping out. If I got multiple things going on, then I use the control panel. So like I use Tailscale, which, I just ask them, hey, how do I do this? And then boom, here's the software you need, here's what you got to get. And then I say, okay, go check this on another model and tell me if you have the same process. That's why, and then I've been kind of started messing around with Perplexity a little bit too. But I don't know, there's a lot. Then the other one I'm messing with is Kimi out of China. Because the other thing is I'm trying to figure out like how to reduce those costs, right?
Right.
How to reduce those costs. The cost gets pretty high. When they're really jamming, like you just start seeing like $200 charge, $200 charge happen pretty fast. So I started looking at like Kimi, and one of the things I found is different models are really good for different things. And, and then just trying to figure out like what model is what. So there's a great lady on YouTube, Sabrina Romanoff. She's put together some really good content on YouTube that she has like that was something I found in January, February, where she's like, which model is really good for which task and what's Claude good for? And yeah, and that's really a good way to look at it when you look at these different models, like where do they really excel? And that way, instead of trying to, like, everybody wants like a silver bullet, a one-stop shop, but you know what, it's not how that works. Not right now. Not right now. I mean, the closest thing to a one-stop shop is Claude and Anthropic. And Anthropic, it seems like harder for OpenClaw. I mean, I know they say they don't touch the API, but I don't know. After the switch here, after like Peter Steinbrenner went to OpenAI, all of a sudden, like, I started having big issues, and I had to kind of work through those.
Interesting. It sounds like you've implemented so many different AIs and chats, etc. But how has implementing all of this, like the results, how has that even shifted the dynamic in your office? I mean, you mentioned that you have 7 team members, like efficiency. How would you say, like how responsive was your team about it too? I know you mentioned earlier that it's not to replace them, but I think some people still have that fear, right? So.
Well, once I have the one-to-one conversations and show them, I show them how she makes mistakes. I show them how, hey, like this isn't perfect. Like you need to understand this. Like this is where like you need to use your brain, right? This is what, like, if you want to be different than AI, then you got to use your brain. And this is how you're going to use your brain here, right? And so I try to like, it's just, and the other thing, they all use it too. They all use it too. Right? I've got the Google Workspace, so they use Gemini. They use Chat. They don't really use Claude. No one really uses Claude except for me. I don't keep them from it. They just go to what they know. Everyone knows, ChatGPT. ChatGPT is like code for AI. It's really funny. So, but yeah, no, they got much better. And I do think that there is a little bit of like fear that, but I don't know, to me, I explained to them, like, listen, the whole idea here is like not add any more people. Let's try and see how we can create tools to make us, stay lean and stay where we are. Because when times are great and we got lots of business coming in and checks are flying and, bank accounts flush, like that's awesome, right? You're right. That's awesome.
Right.
That it's a time when we have the low. We had that lull where the checks are not flying in and we have people are waiting to place orders. Like this happened during tariffs because people didn't know what was going on with tariffs. So what do? They waited. They just waited. They just sat out and waited. Like, construction sites are like, well, let's just get what we need to get right now. And then everything else can wait until we figure out what's going to happen. So, to me, it was kind of pushing it on, listen, like when things are great, everyone's awesome. We always want to add more people. But when things are not great, then we don't want to eliminate people. So let's figure out how we can use a system to help us grow until we absolutely need to add people. I did try putting an automated quoting system in here, and it has taken, it's just a lot more work to handle that I can handle right now. It has not been, it got about maybe 60% of the way, but then I started like screwing up and then they saw the screw ups. Like she would just start getting caught into a loop where it would start getting progress and to get progress and progress and progress till you get to a point where you got almost close to what you want. And all of a sudden, like the next day, back down here at the bottom again. And you're like, wait a second, what the hell just happened? Like you just had everything ready yesterday. It was beautiful, ready to go. And now all of a sudden you came back down, and now I have to tell it all over again, the whole process. So that gets, and they see that and they're like, okay, we're not 100% replaceable yet.
Got
Make
it.
sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. But like, you know, and I know you made some mistakes. We talked about this before. That has cost you, you know, several thousands of dollars in learning, right, with this whole Alkin Claw.
Yeah.
But it looks like you got it to a place where you're pretty good at it. You're pretty efficient. You kind of estimate what type of cost you're going to have on the back end API.
Yeah.
You know, what the audience should understand is that when you integrate into an OpenClaw infrastructure, this is not like logging into ChatGPT or using the app on your phone or using Claude Desktop. What you're doing is
open line of
essentially you're
credit.
enabling, exactly. Well, you're enabling an API from whatever large language model you choose from, and you're paying a licensing fee, which is different from the $20 or the $100 or the $200 a month plan that you're on, right? And it's very hard to kind of estimate until you kind of get into the weeds there. Now, I'm assuming, right, that you are somewhat stabilized within your operation. Is this paying for itself? Has this created efficiencies that you can justify getting more machines? You know, you've only been doing this for about, what, 4 to 6 months right now? Yeah.
I started in February.
What is your takeaway? Are you still learning? Are you still, you know, TBD? Like, what is your gut feeling right now? Because I know it produces some amazing things. You know, what you're about to show us, what you did on the peptide, which is a fun side hustle, which is amazing. It's just unbelievable what it can be done. But is it justified when you think about the cost?
Well, definitely justifiable with the cost because this is going to continue to grow. I'm giving myself a foundation on how to operate with AI. And I think that is what's more valuable right now. Am I seeing instant ROI where I'm paying back? Yes and no. It's definitely, you know, streamlining my costs of like other softwares and getting rid of that. And then I'm saving money on like Trainual, I'm saving money on Scribe, I'm saving money on, you know, even like things like Firefly that I use that every once in a while now. To other times I just record, I'll say transcribe this. So I'm saving money on subscriptions. I am definitely making my process and my company a lot more accountable, where I can go through and double check things and have things double checked much faster. So what I'll do now is like when I have approvals come up, I'll send over like, I'll say to my guys, hey, listen, like send me over like the PDF of the quote before, the PDF after, or I'll just say, hey, give me the estimate number. And I'll tell Valentino, go in and look at estimate 1, I look at estimate 2, and take a look at the differences, tell me what the differences are. So it saves me time that way, because I can get that feedback. I would say that even my, you know, the SOPs, that's a really big deal, because for me, like I have contractors and stuff, and I love them all. They're all great. They've all worked for me. I'll say for me. They all work with me for a long time now. And the thing is that they can't up and leave. And if they up and leave, then I got this whole process already documented with videos already done, like step by step process of how they can work that. I can get them up and running in a matter of a day or two. Just by literally just going through the process, watching the videos, and then shadowing somebody else to work. Whereas before, it would take about a week, right? So I think that it's all relative. It's very early right now. I'm still very early in this. So if I were to say, can I say I've got back a lot of money? No, I haven't. But I got enough education, and I've learned what works, what doesn't work, and I'm still learning. I'm 100% still learning. You know, there's it's, you know, not just OpenClaw, you know, there are a lot of other agent harnesses that are coming out. You know, I see that Amazon has one coming out through AWS that they're launching. I think they just launched it. And we're going to see other, because OpenClaw is open source. Anyone can go in and they can copy the software and they can find a way to make it their own. So you're going to see that a lot more as well. And so, yeah, so my journey, I'm still learning, but I definitely think that I am a lot more advanced than I was when I first got started. And I think that I'm just only a few months ahead of where everybody else is going to be in a short amount of time. In a year from now, it's going to be a much different space. And so I do believe that.
So while we transition to the peptide, just on a final thought with your lighting company, right? Knowing what you know now, what is some advice that you would give to somebody in the audience that has a business that they're looking to automate? What would you tell them? Where should they get started? What should they do?
Well, I'd say figure out what their interest level is, like what they would do with it, right? What is their goal? Why would they jump into this? Number one. Number two, be patient. Be patient. Like if you're not a tech person, right, then you got to figure out, you're learning from tech people, and to tech people, everything is easy, right? They all know, they know what they're doing, right? And so the way they explain it is a little bit different. So you need to have some patience there, and then jump in with both feet and just start experimenting. I like having them on the Mac Mini because I don't want them on my computer. I don't want them having my passwords. I don't want them having access to my bank account. I never give them anything for payment. Like, quick example, I had them go and order. I did once. I was in China, and I ordered cookies for my customers through Levain Bakery, and she totally screwed up the order. She totally screwed it up. So, just proceed with caution, move slow, small moves, and then, but definitely explore and see where does your interest lie. And then the other thing is always ask it questions. One of the interesting questions I started with, so I had to give them all, I got all my agents together, I gave them a big speech on who we are and how we got here. I did the whole thing through iMessage, right? This is how I started. I started this company from nothing. A $20 sample and a couch and a coffee table, and I hustled. I worked for, an interior designer in West Hollywood for free for 7 weeks just to learn the industry. I found LED lighting. I worked for free. I hustled. I got this, to a point where we struggled for years, and then all of a sudden started seeing momentum build up. I gave this whole big speech, and then what she did was they wanted to put it on Notion, and they created this, what do they call it? I think they call it Phoenix. But what it was is that it's basically just a thing on Notion that talks about our roots and how we got here, and they always reference it when they, really.
So that's your context.
Yeah, that's my context, 100%. And then I started talking about meditation because I meditate every day, and I'm like, let's talk about meditation. Because I actually had her build for you. I was literally sitting with my acupuncturist in China, right? I'm in China sitting with my acupuncturist, and she's blown away by AI. I'm like, don't worry, you have nothing to worry about.
Let's get into it.
But I was like, let's build a meditation app, all right? And in 4 minutes, I built a meditation app. Literally, I can go to a website and boom, I got a meditation app. Another great thing I did was I was my factory owner, or my good friend, and we were launching a new business now, and I said, hey, let's record our conversation, and I'm going to transcribe it, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a business plan while we're having dinner, right? Literally, me and him having dinner, and he looked at this thing, and I said, okay, now I want you to take this business plan, I want you to give me a version in Chinese, Mandarin. Boom, got a Mandarin, okay? So then, and we're drinking as well, right? So all of a sudden,
quite the difference.
He says, hey, listen, we gotta go. I'm gonna call the driver. We're gonna go to the next place. And I was like, I got an idea. He goes, what's your idea? I said, we're gonna have a race. My AI versus your driver. I said, we're gonna create a website with the entire business plan. It's gonna be password protected. It's gonna be both in English and Chinese, and it's gonna have pictures and visuals in it to actually really spell out what we're doing, what we're embarking on. And I said, and I'm gonna have it done before your driver arrives, all right? And it was a tie, 4 minutes, 45 seconds. 4 minutes, 45 seconds. So I just play around. My advice is play around. Just don't give them your credit card number. Just don't give me your credit card number, but ask questions and don't be afraid to spend some money on it. don't be afraid to spend some money on it. It's, if you're an entrepreneur or you're a business owner, you can do a lot with this without a lot of people. But it's a different mentality when someone's an employee. I remember this when I was in China, and we were trying. I got a system right now I'm working on. It's proprietary, but we're going to use AI to be able to build some real technical aspects of a new business that. If I can get it done the right way I'm thinking, then I'll be able to eliminate like tens of hours of labor costs to customers. And so I was showing the engineer over there what I was doing. And he took his lighter. He's like, "You're burning tokens. You're burning tokens." And I'm like, "Who gives a fuck? All right, like I'm paying for this so I can freaking learn how to freaking build what we're trying to build right now. All right, if you want to, what do you want to do? Like, do you want to sit here and play with AI, or you want to fucking build something today?"
Exactly.
And all of a sudden, everything changes. So let's talk about peptides.
Yeah, let's talk about peptides. Well, first of all, you look fantastic. Your journey into health and fitness, I hardly recognize you, man. Your muscles are like bulging through your shirt right now.
Yeah, peptides. It's peptide. So no, I appreciate that. Well, here, I mean, look, I'll give you some context here, right? Let's take a look at. I'm gonna show you a picture of me. Let's see here. Can I find it? It was me with my daughter, right? When she was born in 2017, must have been like, so it was 2018. Also, right before we moved. So, I got very much into health and wellness. I started exploring, like, after my daughter was born, how can I bring down my weight, because I want to be around for her. And then, my son was born too. And then all of a sudden, and then I would exercise, I would do South Beach diet, I would bring my weight down. But my weight was one thing. But I wasn't completely healthy, and I was still struggling with health. I used to smoke cigarettes. I quit smoking. I did that long before. But my stress levels were really high with the business, with staff and with problems and everything else I would have. People were starting to get worried about me, including my doctors, that I'm going to have a heart attack. And my father had a heart attack at 67 and passed away. So it became I want to make sure that I didn't abandon my children so young. And then COVID hit, and then divorce hit. And then, divorce, was a real big motivator. I actually had an idea for a business long ago for, in the fitness space, do remote training, remote personal training was, I remember we were talking about this back in like 2016 and,
That's right.
COVID
Before COVID. You were well ahead of the time, my friend.
What a fucking mistake that was, not doing that thing. But you're happy with that? I kept getting pulled into my lighting business because every time shit would happen with the lighting business, I had to get, all right, I got to go away from this idea. I got to go back to the lighting business. And then, and that's what I would do. And so, anyhow, I just started doing like a lot of training in my apartment at the time. And then I did remote personal training. And then I started running. And then when I moved here to New York City full time, I go running in Central Park, and I would see all of these people out there running. And I'd see New York road runners, and I'm like, oh, that's stupid. I don't want to do that. That's too organized, and I'm not like that. I'm not going to do that. But then I went and I did a race, and it was a lot of fun. I was like, all right, I'm in. So then what I did was I ran my first half marathon in December 2023. And that day I came home and I was jacked. I was so excited. I just ran a half marathon in Central Park, which is tough because of all the hills. Central Park, New York City, is a tough place to run in because of all the hills. And I ended up, I just felt so excited. And I was fumbling around on Facebook, and boom, this thing popped up, said Honolulu Marathon. And it was 1 year to the date. I ran my first half marathon on December 9th, 2023. And the Honolulu half marathon was December 8th, 2024. And I was like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to burn the boats. So what I did was I signed up for the half marathon, or for the full marathon immediately. And Honolulu is great. You just apply and you're in. And then I got like Airbnbs, paid for everything up front, got my flight, paid for everything up front. non-refundable. I'm doing this or I'm going to be really stupid.
You are committed.
100%, right?
Yeah.
And so when I did it, and I went out there, and I was super tough, but I did it. I ran it. Up to that point, I ran a few more half marathons to give myself the training, and then I was signed up. I made it for New York City Marathon, so that's so in 2025, I ran in December 2024, December 2025, in November 2025, I signed up for New York City, and then in between that, I got accepted to the Sydney Marathon, and I thought that's amazing. I'm gonna go to China. I'm going to go work. I'm going to fly down to Sydney. And then I just dreamed a long time ago with a vision about Uluru, big mountain in the middle of Australia. I'll show you a picture. It's amazing. And I ended up going there and staying there for, that's Uluru.
Wow.
Right? It's stunning. It's so beautiful. There's another area called Kita, really amazing place. So I ran Sydney. It was an amazing time. Ran around Uluru, had this great, powerful experience in myself, and then got into the peptide journey, starting in I want to say like March, April. Like first started out with got my blood work and went over my blood work with a nurse practitioner. And she's like, "Oh, your testosterone's low." I'm like, "That makes sense." She's like, "Let's get you started on testosterone." I'm like, "Well, let's wait a minute. I didn't want to do testosterone and jump right into it so quickly because testosterone does have risks." I said, before when I was trying to get pregnant with my former spouse, I ended up taking HCG shots, which helped me naturally develop testosterone. So I said, let's start with HCG. So I got started with HCG. And then we got started with BP 157 pills. And and that was giving me some reflux. I'm like, this isn't good. But then I said, all right, let me do some more homework. I started studying. And then all of a sudden, I'm going to do the GLP-1 tirzepatide because I was in Vegas. I went to Vegas for work. I did the South Beach diet. I love the South Beach diet. It's helped me out so many times in my life. But I did the South Beach diet, and I went from 244 down to about 227. And I went to Vegas on business. And I was out with my customers and my sales teams. And you're going out to dinner, and you're having drinks, and everything's going on. And I come back from Vegas, and my weight goes back up. I gained I got back up to 234, 235. And in a week, and I was pissed. I was really pissed about this. So I got into tirzepatide, and I'm like, what else is there? And then all of a sudden, I was like, she's like, let's try CJC 1295 and ipamorelin. I was like, what's that? She's like, well, you gotta lift weights when you're on the stuff because you need to build muscle mass, and this will help you build muscle mass. So I was taking that, and that was interesting. But then all of a sudden, they said, hey, what do you think about tesamorelin? And I was like, let me do some homework. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. So I switched over from CJC to tesamorelin. So now I'm on tirzepatide, I'm on tesamorelin, and I'm on and as I CJC, tesamorelin, and I started learning about Wolverine stack. And I'm like, what the hell is this, right? So I started digging into Wolverine stack, right? Then I start saying, and then I go to Panama, and I end up in Panama. I'm looking at stem cell research, and I walk in this place, and they sell peptides, and I'm talking to them, and so also I'm like, huh. So now I'm in between my NP, I'm in between this place in Panama, I'm in between TikTok and YouTube and all these podcasts and trying to figure out what is real, what's not. And I'm like, there's not really a lot of organized information about this other than if you're listening to somebody, an MP who's telling you what to do. And honestly, they're great. My MP is amazing, but they're also selling, so you want to take into consideration, hey, they might be selling and they might want you to take certain things because they want to sell you. Another thing, I'm not saying that what they're offering is bad, but they get excited. Oh, you can buy this, and you can buy this, and you can buy this. And so I really think it's important to do your homework. So I started doing a bunch of homework, and then all of a sudden, I said, okay, I'm going to do the glow. She's like, we can do glow, we can do Clo. I was like, even better, because I really got into like the copper peptide. I'm like, the next thing I know, I'm giving myself like 8 shots a day. All right. And it's like, they do all this blood work. And I'm like, okay, like this is interesting stuff. And so then I'm feeling good. Like it takes time for the stuff to start going through your system. I just started noticing like the fat started to go away right in here. I started noticing the veins popping out a little bit more when I'm working out. It was crazy. I'm working out. I work out now with a tank top on, and I watch the vein go from my arm all the way up my arm up into my shoulder here. And I'm just like, that's sick. All right. And I start seeing like the separation of this muscle, from my tricep to my bicep occurring. And I'm just like, and another thing that I start putting up more weight. Like, I'm just like, I accidentally grabbed 70-pound dumbbells instead of 60. And I was like, oh, fuck it, let's do it, and no problem. And I was like, it was amazing. So I'm going through all this stuff. So now I'm like, and now what's happened is that I got injured from running a couple of times. Not just, I think I have orthotics, so I have an issue, I think, with my orthotics. I started having some ankle issues. And then I'm like, let me spend more time lifting weights. And now I've really got into lifting weights. So what's happened is that I've been lifting a lot more weights now than running. I've been, and I feel really good about that. My old friend Brian tell me all the time, he's like, cardio is great, but, like if you pump iron, he's like, you're going to see a huge difference in yourself. Like, that's the most important thing to do is go pump iron, Kyron. I'm like, okay. So I'm flying to China. I'm on my way from New York to Seattle to catch my connection. And I'm looking at my calendar and there's a shit show. I have like every single, I got all these peptides listed every single day. So every time I go to give myself a shot, I got to look at this calendar. Like this, I got this, I got this, I got this. I'm like, this is a mess. I'm like, you know what? Let's see if my agents can make me an app, like a basic app that I can just go to a website on. And every day I just put in what I'm doing. All right. So I'm going to pull it up here. Well, before I pull it up. So then it starts showing like, what am I doing? And it shows my schedule, what I'm doing. And I'm like, this is fun. Maybe I can find a way to monetize this. And I'm like, all right, maybe what I should do is look at building like some sort of affiliate site and start collecting data and start trying to put together some articles and start trying to become like a place that people can go to get reliable information on peptides. So mydailypeptides.com was born. And so this is My Daily Peptides. Right. And so first there's like my story. This is me at the Sydney Marathon. Let's see here. This is me at the Sydney Marathon right here. Right. And this is my story. Right. Why it exists. Right. Good information scattered. Tracking tools don't exist. Right. And the community deserves better. And what you're going to find here, a tracker and real talk, a note on safety saying, hey, like, I'm not a doctor. Like, you got to do your own research. Go talk to a doctor. Right. And then we have like, okay, beginner guide to peptide protocols, right? Understanding peptides, right? So there's Sage, right? There's Sage.
Sage is your agent.
Yes. Sage is my agent. Absolutely.
Amazing.
And so here are the peptides for beginners, right? BPC 157, CJC 1295, Tissamocin, Alpha 1, and then GHQ, the copper, right? Just basic stuff. Like it's not too much information. I mean, look, you know me, I talk. I'm a big talker, right? And you give people too much information, then you overwhelm them. But if you give it to them on bite-sized chunks, then it starts making more sense. So we got how to use the site, right? And then we have some how to use it. Then we got the tracker, right? The tracker is great. I'm going to go into the tracker in a minute. And then we have just some basic articles that, here's Josh, right? Article on Josh and, and what he did. And then Tony Robbins. And then we have our post in here, and this was just a great information site. We've got loads and loads and loads of articles, right? And then it's broken down to like peptide guides, right? And everything here is built in AI. All these images are AI generated, right? All the organization is AI generated, right? The research news, right? So it's really going out and getting data and creating, hey, like here's some stories, right? Some reviews on peptides. So the other thing I learned is that a lot of times the AI agents, they will build their own website in their own code, right? And then if they go down, the website will go down with them. So what I did was I went out and I got a WordPress template, And I said, you're going to build it on the WordPress template, and they're going to host it. We're going to host it. So that way it's separate. That way now it's its own tool on its own, not living within an AI agent.
Got it.
It is there.
So you put some safeguards in place.
100%. 100%. So then there's the daily stack. That this is kind of like celebrities and like news, like Stallone and RFK, right? Chelsea Handler, Rebel Wilson, Elon Musk, and what he talks about, right? And the whole idea is that it's, you know, it's amazing. I like to think of it. There was a movie from a long time ago called The Big Chill, right? And The Big Chill is a fantastic movie with Jeff Goldblum. And, oh, man, there's so many people in that movie. It was insane in the 80s. And there's a scene where Jeff Goldblum, he was a writer for People magazine. And he said, yeah, you know, our philosophy is that, you know, we try to write an article for the average person to read while they're taking the average dump. Right? And I'm just like, I got to take that and put that philosophy in there. Okay. Like, as long as someone can read this on the cam, all right, then, and you take away from it, then that's going to work out. So then there's the tracker, right? So you go into your peptide protocol here, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you mine, because mine is like, because right now it's still in beta. And it's getting so much closer than what it was. But this is mine.
Wait,
right?
but hold on a second. Stop. This is amazing. What you built right here is insane. How long did it take you to build this?
Well, I built the tracker app in about 40 minutes. And then I built the website. I think I had to fly from Seattle. I had about maybe 4 hours of flight time before I lost internet. So over 4 hours, I had the WordPress site built out. I had the articles written. I had the articles published. And then when I was in China, in my spare time, I would say maybe an hour or 2 hours a day, I would, you know, give instructions through iMessage, and then boom, the website was built.
Amazing.
So, going back real quick, your agent is the one that's drawing all the articles. Like, it's doing all the research for you. You physically don't have to do that. It's doing all the back end research for
Well,
you.
there's three agents. There's three agents that all work together as a team, right? So there's one that is like gives the big overview, and then what she'll do is she'll assign to the other agent, you're gonna go research this, right? And it'll happen that she'll go research something, and then she'll come back, and then the agent's gonna review that information and make sure everything is like real, right?
Of
It's
course.
gonna like basically, right, it's gonna follow the context that they gave her, right? And then verify, and then send it to me for approval. And then I have another agent that does all the programming.
Okay.
Right? Because I like to try to separate it that way. I've learned that by keeping a separation, I can get a lot more done a lot faster, because a lot of times what happens when they're programming and they're building out stuff, it'll go like, it's kind of like a hockey stick. It'll come up real fast, like, and then all of a sudden they'll start looping and they'll start looping, right? And you got like, okay, the loop's beginning here. I got to freaking stop that loop from happening. And I have to like get them to go back to where they were before they started looping and pick up where they went off. So if you have one agent, then one is not going to have enough time. You know, it's not going to have the bandwidth to be able to self-police itself. It's not going to. It's just going to hallucinate and tell you that everything it's doing is right. Right. So you really need to be able to, you know, to do it. So that for me was a really big deal. If you have one that's doing it, you're going to have mistakes. And on top of it, you're also going to want to tell it to do so much, and you're going to hit a brick wall. You know, that's why like I separate the powers. You're going to do social media and marketing. You're going to do programming. You're going to do strategy. Right. And then strategy, you're going to be reviewing the information that they're doing and making sure that it's being done the right way.
Are the agents also, because you mentioned in the dashboard that you showed us that it has like all the peptides that you're taking, are your agents also assisting you in your meal plans, in creating workouts for you? I know you mentioned that you do have an NP, and it's really important to have a provider with you, right? That not that holds your hand, but really educates you on how you should be taking the peptides, as in even like lifestyle wise. You mentioned earlier that some of the providers, they just want to sell stuff for you, right? And ideally that's not, you know, yes, but there's some that actually do truly care, you know? So were you able to get the agents to help you with that aspect of it too? Like, hey, fill in the blanks, so to speak, where maybe your NP was lacking. And is that something that can be done in the dashboard as well?
Well, yes and no. Okay, so I'm always, I always get suspicious of people when I'm buying
enough.
stuff from them, right? To like make sure that I get the correct information, right? Because they also get excited, and it's also, it's just when you're a sales, when you're in that role, people do get excited. And
Peptides are exciting though. As a peptide user myself, they're exciting.
they're very exciting, and so and the thing, so I just believe that 100%. Like it's really great for helping me do the homework of like, hey, like, all right, give me the comparison. Like, hey, like she's recommending this. What do you think based on what I'm doing, right? And then give me the support for whatever you're deciding, all right? And let you know. And then I read through it, and then you have to be the one that's going to have to critically reason, what you're looking at and saying, okay, like, is this working for what I am, what I'm trying to accomplish? Food plan, yes and no. I mean, now that I'm on the GLP-1, like, I eat pretty healthy, and I've been eating healthy for a long time. I don't really need it for food planning, and for workouts. I've been pretty consistent with my own workout routine for years. That I don't know. It's a good thought though. It's a good thought because I have it integrated into my Strava, and we could put in like a whole new workout plan. Everything's online. You can literally like build out like today's gonna be chest day, and today's gonna be our chest and back, or or whatever. That's a really good thought. It's a really good thought. I might take it.
Go for it. There's a lot of people that are getting the GLP-1s, right, from their providers, but it's just like, here, take the shot and that's it. But there's no follow-up, like the meal plan, the exercise, the importance of it, how frequent, etc. So having that.
Well, yeah, I know a lot. I know someone very close to me that has lost over 100 pounds on using tirzepatide or Zepbound, and but she doesn't work out.
See? And then what happens once they stop?
She doesn't work out, and she's in her early 50s now, and you know what happens is that she falls,
Of course.
and she can hurt herself, and she stops, and the weight comes back on, going to be down muscle mass.
Right.
So
there's lots of risks
it's
still with it.
the peptide. Oh, a lot of there's a lot of risk, but there's risk if like anything in life. If you're going to do something, you gotta if you're gonna drive a car, you gotta put fuel in the tank.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Like the risk of not doing the exercise and keeping a healthy diet to taking them. But sorry, we're digressing from the platform
No,
itself.
it's okay.
But I think it's important for the users.
let me go
to
Hold
listen.
on, but Alex mentioned something very interesting, right? Working with the MP. I don't mind you mentioning the name because I know you scrutinize everything that you do. Who are you working with on the peptide
So I work
side?
Gatlin. Gatlin. All right, and then Heather is my MP, and I love her. I love Heather. She's amazing. Okay, she's a bodybuilder. All right, and she knows her shit like in and out. But I always challenge everybody.
Right.
I always do, right? Because I also want to make sure that. It's really amazing because she's been such a blessing in so many ways because I'm seeing the results that I was trying to get, right? I coming into this with just doing homework, and now I'm talking to somebody who actually knows what they're talking about, and then I'm like, okay, tell me about this one, and tell me about Tesla Moreland. What makes it different? What about if I want to switch from tirzepatide to Retta, right? I want to go over to Retta, and we start talking about Retta, and and there are things where many times, well, I will, she'll look at what I'm doing, and she's like, "Oh, you're bougie." Oh, you're bougie. And she's after me once. I need to be very clear. I never knew once, but she's amazing. And she's like, "You don't need to do that one." You know what I mean? Like, and that's another reason why I love working with it because I'll go find stuff online and be like, okay, what about this? How come I'm not doing this right now? She's like, you don't need to do it. You don't need to do it. You're already getting it for something else that's more expensive. If you want to do it, you're more than welcome to. But on the same token, you don't have to do it. So she also very helpful in that regard. So I'm very, very grateful to the team at Gatlin, and I'm very, very grateful to Heather. And then on top of it, they mobilized me quickly because especially with and they don't do it. I'm sure they don't do it for everybody, but I'm always like, I have to manage which will lead to this refilling. A lot of times you don't realize how, you start finishing a vial and you're like, oh no, it's going to take me 3 to 4 days to get something new here. Do I have 3 or 4 days worth of peptides, right? And a lot of times you don't. So that is interesting as well. So let me jump into the app real quick.
Absolutely.
All right, so this is my version of it, right? And I like showing my version because it's real and it's an action. So okay, let me see. Is my history showing for today? Let's see. All right, I've been using a different model. I've been using the other one, the test one. So this is history. It shows you. Let me see. I want to get to the. Okay, you guys can see the whole. Oh, okay, I'm here. All right, I'm trying to do it on the screen share instead of doing it. So anyway, here's my day. Okay, and so it's showing like where my weight is. You're supposed to log your weight in this app. And the other thing is, I connected it to. Oh, wait a second. Something looks like it's different. Wait.
So you just go in and update like daily, weekly on your weight goals.
I do this every day.
Okay.
Well, what I've done is that I put my weight goal in, and let's see here. Which one am I? Still on beta. All right, let's just go through the overview.
So for our listeners, Kevin is now in the dashboard that he created where he tracks his daily peptides that he's taking, the schedule, weight. Going back also, I think it's great that you have your MD, right? Was it? No, your nurse practitioner, right? That you said, and
Yep.
You're asking her about the peptides, like, hey, does this work, or should I be on it? Why am I not on it? I think that's really important because I think my husband has patients. He's a functional medicine doctor. He'll have patients like, hey, I was prescribed this, and he's like, you really shouldn't be on that. But same thing, it was just because the sale was made to them, and here they're coming for
Yes.
education to him, and he's like, no, that was not the right one. Like, it's too much for you. So that's really great.
It's very important. You have to have someone guiding you. You cannot be doing this on your own. Cannot. So let me see here. I ran into a bug on this thing yesterday. So it was here. I think I made a change and it erased all mine. All right. So here, well, I'm gonna dig in between this one and the other app, the other personal app. So I have the today, which is gonna have my protocols listed. I'll show you that. Okay, my weight progress. So we have this tab right here. This actually connects to a WISE scale.
Okay.
All right. So I have a WISE scale that has a body composition meter, right? And it connects using API. So it will tell me what my body mass is, my body fat, but it will give you like what your protein is, your bone mineral, your visceral fat, your metabolic age. All this information is available on this because I've been using an Omron body composition scale, and it's just old. And the one from Wise, it's great. It's $120, and it gives you all this information. You correct thing online. It connects to an app, and then all the information from the app can dump into here. Strava, all my Strava is connected as well. So I have to sync it. Let me see here. All right, so this is from today, and then what I do is, let me see here. Okay. Here's my blood work.
Do you upload
So
it?
this is very interesting. So I upload my blood work, but me uploading my blood work, that I'm not, worried about anything on HIPAA. All right. But the other thing is that I have another Mac here that is a standalone LLM that's using Olama, right? And basically what I do is we tested it against Claude, we tested it against Gemini, and my Mac can do like a really good comparison between blood tests, and it can actually also review the blood tests and tell you, right? So here's blood tests from December 25th to April 26th, tells you what the difference is. Right, let me see here, testosterone, this is the test date, and then so all this stuff gets dumped right into it. That's number one. Okay, number two, because it's all local right here on my Mac, the data doesn't go anywhere. It stays right here. It's not in the cloud somewhere. It's so it can be deleted off the hard drive very easily, very quickly in case anything ever happens. But which, by the way, one thing for people who know about, put an Alexa cord to connecting to your Mac Minis. All right, if I ever have a problem, which has happened, I haven't really seen a major problem. Like I heard about the lady from Meta who had an open call agent start, deleting her whole email account. But if they start screwing up like that, you can just kill the power on them by using an Alexa smart device. So my blood work is in here, right? And then we created like a peptide wiki, which talks about what we're doing, right? What's the dosing like? What's our cycle like, right? Injection rules, right? Site rotation, just some basic tips here to help folks out, right? And then we have there's the workouts again, okay. And then I'm setting this up so that way Heather can go in and actually I want to go to a.
Is there a shareable link with your provider, or for them to be able to see your progress? And I mean, obviously they get the blood work, but your daily updates.
Yes. So basically, it's just going to be they're going to have their own login, and then what's going to happen is it's going to be a connection from whoever they're working with can go ahead and just invite them to their platform. And so the whole idea is that number one, like we got our protocol. So let me switch from this one over to.
Real quick, let me get this straight. So you obviously have the platform for you, right? Does the provider have their own platform and then they get to choose the patient that they want, or are we not there yet? Am I jumping the gun here?
Close. I'm close. It's already being built.
Okay.
It's already being built, but I'm just going through it. It's not close to showing though yet, because the other thing is I want to make sure that this outside stuff facing first is done the right way. So like yesterday I spent about a couple of hours working with the agents, getting everything like reprogrammed. I got this thing up onto the App Store. And so, let me see here. Like on the App Store, let me see here. So there it is on the App Store. All right, and then that is because in here what I did was it connects to the other one, and I removed one of our protocols and accidentally deleted all of them. So now I have to have it go back in and put them all back in. That's why it's again, when you're going through the development process, it just, sometimes these mistakes happen and it's fixable. I need to sit down with the agent and say, this happened, now I need to fix it. And this is not my only gig. So anyway, here's my protocols, right? So I go in, I hit my protocols that I did today. I got on vitamin D. I'm no longer taking that, so I want to go remove that. And so my protocols are in there. I have cycle countdowns, right? Will tell you how long you're on for each one, right? Which is very important because you need to go off. So like 12 week on, 2 week off, right? Ordering and refills, right? This is also something else to be able to, right? So I have information bucket to her. Then I have what my schedule is, like estimated reorder dates, so she should be able to go in there and see that as well, and see when she's going to be reordering or when she's going to, hey, like we got a problem. And I know she has this on her own side, but it's very important, I think, for me to be on top of it as well. And then here's my blood work. So you can go in and view it. And here's, provider notes. And then, this is the last time I think I weighed myself, and other than that, and then there's history, right? Which history will tell you. So here, like today is the 23rd, right? So I can go in here, and where'd my edit button go? From yesterday, like here's my edit button, right? So I did Chloe last night, and I did the testosterone too. So, and then now it just turned green.
Once you complete it.
So.
Once you
really
complete
everything.
This is really impressive.
The whole idea is that. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You know what's good? It keeps people accountable. It makes things super easy to track, right? It's just, the old expression, right? Keep it simple, stupid, right? That's what you built here. And I think, honestly, because of where this industry is going, right? There's a bunch of peptides on the schedule list of the FDA that is about to get, removed.
That category, go from category 1
exactly.
to category 2.
I think this is going to be one of these things that, your infrastructure that you built can be extremely valuable for a lot of different people. So this is really cool, Kevin.
Sure.
I love what you did with the with the stuff for EOS. I
Thank
love
you.
what you've been doing here. What's next? I know you're an entrepreneur. I know that you are obviously always thinking of new ideas. As long as I've known you, it's Avi, hit me up. I got an idea. What's next? And does AI become a big factor in helping you grow and build?
Definitely is a big factor in helping me grow and build. The biggest thing is I need to, before we move on to the next thing, like I need to finish this, right?
Yeah.
I need to finish this. So like with this, I have like a slew of articles that are ready to get put onto the site, right? Well, I didn't show you the social on here, the social on
show us.
here, so now, and social, I'm noticing a couple of things with social, right? So here, this is a posting, right? And this is all automated. So I click on here. These are, you see, like, you just see some repeats. So I'm working with them on stopping a repeat. You got to make a new image, right? But these are some web posts, right? And so, let me see here. So,
I like it though. It's clean. These
you
are
know,
clean images.
all of them are generated usually through, I connect to Nano Banana. I use Nano a lot. Nano Banana is one of them.
Nano
right?
Banana is one of the features through Google Gemini for everybody listening.
Do you
We got
create a content plan? Sorry. Do you create a content plan for the week, or do you go in daily? I feel like daily would be too much work. But
well, no, I have like a whole spreadsheet built out. I just say you're gonna go make me like 10 posts, and when you hit 8 posts, you're gonna generate another 10 again.
beautiful.
And then what happens? I have it integrated into a Google Sheet. And then when the Google Sheet, when I get it, then I'll get a task. I need to go to the Google Sheet. And then what I'll do is I have checkboxes that I can check one individually. I can do a whole master checkbox and check them all off for her. And so these are all the postings, right? They're going up. Yesterday I think we had a blip where she posted like 3 of them, like 4 of them in a row. So like this one, see, so she went through, she got a little crazy. She posted, so you gotta watch them. So like right now, like before going to anything new, like I really want to make sure the foundation of this one is like built. Like I want to, so now we're gonna start, filling in the affiliate side of it, right, and putting in the affiliate links, right. I'm going to, set that up. I'm gonna fix, social media, and I have to manage it. I figure with probably about when I can spend about 30 minutes to an hour a day on it, then I think I'll be successful. I'll feel successful with that. But I don't have to spend much more, more than an hour a day on it, then I'll be really happy. And the whole goal is to eventually be able to get like 15, 20 minutes a day, just check it, see how everything's going, see if there's any mistakes or whatever. But I do think that the tracker tool, we're going to eventually start charging for that. So we're going to start out in beta mode and offer it for free. And then eventually we'll start tracking it, start charging. We'll have like a free model, and then we'll have like, which will just be like track your peptides. And then we can have the incorporation in with blood work. I don't know. I'm still fleshing out that idea right now. But the biggest idea is just like how to get this thing up and going, how to monetize it as well. And, be able to start seeing a return on it and then see where to go.
Amazing.
It's also incredible, everything
You're
that
right.
you've built on both sides of the business, if you will.
We really appreciate you coming on the show. Where can people find you and learn more about EOS and My Daily Peptides?
Well, mydailypeptides.com is live, and you can jump on there immediately, and you can access the tracker and sign up for an account on that. And I would love it if you were to do that. And then my email is kevin@mydailypeptides.com. So if you have any suggestions or any thoughts, or if you're running into a problem with it, let me know. We do also have a support email as well. EOS Light, EOSlight.com, LAGHT.com is my lighting company. I'm on LinkedIn, and then also send us, DMs in Instagram, and Instagram probably a really good one. And then, we're also on X too. We got X, Facebook, and IG, and then soon will be TikTok and YouTube with video.
That's right.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Well, Kevin, thank you so much for coming on. This was a great one. I was looking forward to this for a long time.
Amazing.
We had some technical difficulties on our first conversation, and we finally were able to make it happen. So Look, I think as a final thought here, most people solve problems by adding more tools, but you solved yours by essentially ripping them out and building something cleaner. And I think that that's a lesson that a lot of operators need to hear. So thank you for sharing your story.
Oh, my pleasure, Barry. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you having me.
And to everyone listening, if you've built or deployed something with AI that actually works, we want to hear about it. So head on over to 120octane.com to apply today to be a guest on our next podcast.
And until next time, stay building.